Bonsoir, bienvenue, and welcome to another video. Okay, in the last video, which is a podcast of the Radio New Manchester, podcast, in that I talked about my trip overseas was a disaster. It was a bust. It was a mess. I was kept in the dark. I didn't know what was going on. I was rushed around by people who I was with, family. And it's like, 3 people know about the trip. Like, for instance, what time to get up, what time to leave for the airport, what time the flight at the airport is going to leave for our destination. Yeah, the plane that we're going to get on and fly from where we are, DFW, in Dallas, to an airport in Shanghai, China, to go over there and get on a cruise, get on that cruise ship and sail from China, Shanghai, China, to Japan and South Korea and back. We all missed the cruise ship, and we missed the first original flight because of the park and fly parking lot. Yeah, the park and fly where you park your car there and a shuttle bus comes to pick you up and take you to the airport. That's gone, and that was torn down, and something's going to be built in its place. And one person who booked the cruise, who booked the trip, didn't bother calling, just relied on the internet. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I was thrown into the shuffle. I was kept in the dark. Nobody told me a thing. And it's hilarious. I mean, and I complain about this. Nobody tells me a thing about this trip. And one person has the nerve to jump in and teach me how to pack my bags and handle foreign currency at some toy shop or candy shop at an airport in Shanghai, China. And I refuse to be taught this because I know how to do those things. And this person gonna tell me, "Why won't you let me teach you something? Why won't you let me teach you something?" And this person is treating me like a child. So, I'm not going to name any names. I'm just going to tell you my experience in all of this. So, what I need to do, I need to break away from these people and go my own way and plan trips on my own, where I know what's going on, where I'm going to be going to, what time my flight's going to leave, what time I'm supposed to get up to get ready to leave for the airport. And when I get to a destination that I'm flying, that I went to on a plane, I'm going to know how long I'll be going to be in that country, any country that I'm going to be visiting, how long I'll be gone, and what day I'm going to come back home from that trip. Yeah, I'm going to know all of that. But, so, I need to make this happen. But, there's a saying, if you don't do anything, nothing's not going to happen. And, and I'd like to thank a person who's been viewing the videos on this channel, who's been dropping comments, telling me, enjoy my trip overseas to China. and told me, I feel sorry for you for going through all that rigmarole. Well, better luck next time. So I like to thank that person for telling me that. You know, you know, you know, the quality of life for me where I'm living at here in Texas, which is a state here in the United States, America in general. I mean, the quality of life here is really bad. It's really, really bad. You know, I can tell you why. The high cost of living. Even though there's no state income tax, people are being taxed through property taxes, land/property taxes. You know, Texas likes to lie to people from not other countries. Yeah, Texas likes to lie to people from other states by telling them, "Oh, come to Texas because we have a lower cost of living. We have no state income taxes, and you can keep a lot of money that you earn." And what they fail to tell you is that, you're still going to be taxed. Yes, you're still going to be taxed through land/property taxes. Yeah, there's no state income tax here in Texas, but they're going to tax you through land/property taxes, and the taxes are through the roof. And there's a saying, the tax money has to come from somewhere. The tax money has to come from somewhere. Let's see, a healthcare system that is completely disastrous, very disastrous. Yeah, with a high uninsured rate. Texas has the highest uninsured rate in the country, with people who don't have any health insurance. Yeah, a low minimum wage, voter suppression, where black and brown people, black and Hispanic people, excuse me, are having their voices suppressed through voting by conservatives, so conservatives can stay in power and crush the right to vote for people who are black, who are Latino, who are just dirt poor all around, regardless of their race, and eliminating drive-through voting and voting through mail, and helping, and people who are handicapped going to have a hard time voting. Unfair abortion laws, where women who are pregnant, they want to terminate their pregnancy because because there's something wrong with the baby has a disability, or the baby will cause a lot of health issues to the mother or kill the mother. And women who are pregnant are forced to carry a baby full term, and if they get an abortion, they'll be punished. And if a doctor goes through with the abortion, he or she will be punished. And oh yeah, the law will give power to the doctor if a woman goes and tries to get an abortion. And you got women who in Texas and also in Oklahoma who are going to states like New Mexico and California to get an abortion. Yeah. MAGA. Yeah, MAGA, MAGA. Yeah. MAGA is running amok here in Texas and also all over the country. Yeah. So someone told me that Texas is the land of milk and honey. You know what I just said about Texas, it isn't the land of milk and honey. And oh yeah, a law that's created by the Governor Greg Abbott, where people can buy a gun regardless of their criminal background or their mental health or whatnot. Yeah, they can get a gun if they can get a gun they can get a gun regardless of their criminal background, mental health. And also that law allowed a teenager to buy 2 guns on his 18th birthday. He went to an elementary school and killed 19 innocent children and 2 teachers. Where also police, who are a bunch of cowards, who sat outside of a school and allowed this gunman, this maniac, to kill innocent children and 2 teachers. Yeah. The 2021 snowstorm, where people starved to death and died and froze to death because of a weak power grid, ERCOT, that's not connected to the power grid, that's not connected to power grids in other parts of the U.S. and also in Canada. And Texas doesn't want to be connected to other parts of the U.S. and also Canada, so they want their own power. Want to generate their own electricity grid, their own power grid. And that's why it failed in that snowstorm back in 2021. Yeah. The quality of life in the state of Texas is shit. And, and I don't want to live here anymore. And I don't. I'm better off, living somewhere else. Well, I'm better off living in another country than living here. Because it is an absolute nightmare here. It is a joke here. A joke. And everything that goes on here in Texas, the quality of life, the culture, how people carry themselves, people who talk to you like you're their drill sergeant in the military by referring to you as sir or ma'am, and they say this 50 million times. All that to me has went over like a fart in church. That's right. All of that has went over like a fart in church. Yeah. But let me tell you what has went over like a fart in church. The President of the United States and people in his administration. You got some insecure men. You got a man named Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller. He lost all his hair. He's going bald. He's ashamed of this. So he goes and sprays black paint all over his head to make it look like he has hair. And he can't embrace the fact, he can't embrace himself going bald. He wants to be irresistible to women. And He's past his prime, and I think he's a father and he needs to worry about being a dad than trying to be a good looking bachelor, because for him, those days are long gone. And that goes for Donald Trump, and he's like this as well. Men like Stephen Miller, they're just a bunch of weak, sensitive men with small penises who never worked out in their lives, who never pumped iron. But I take that back. I'm not here to put down people anyway. These insecure men who shit on people, who talk bad about people, they can dish out all that abuse to other people, but they just can't take it. I don't want to be like those people, and I don't. I just take who I am and just run with it. I just accept who I am and just move on. Yeah, I'm just talking about whatever it is that's on my mind. Man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna go to another country in the future. I don't know if I'm gonna go on vacation or holiday to a country. Because if I go on vacation / holiday to a country with somebody in my family who's booking a trip, I'm probably going to end up like with them. I'm probably going to end up along with them. I'm probably going to spend all my time at airports and hotels at airports and never seen a country, never setting foot into a country and experienced the culture, the food, and the people. I don't want to go through that. It was a night. It was just disastrous for me, and it was. And I'm not going to cry my eyes out over this, and I'm not. But let's face it, if you're around a bunch of idiots, if you're around a bunch of people who don't tell you anything, people who don't make any sense when they talk, yeah, people who don't people who just keep you in the dark and don't tell you anything. If you're around those people, you ain't going to go anywhere. And if you call these people out on what they're doing, they'll argue with you. If you call them out on what they do, they'll shut you up, and you try to speak, and they speak and you speak, it's just going to just snowball into an argument. And I don't want to argue. Arguing is a waste of time. These people who can't admit that they're wrong, who can't admit their mistakes, why they just shut up and just accept their mistakes, accept the mistakes that they made. Excuse me. Just accept it and stop trying to be perfect, and stop trying to be a know-it-all. And stop embarrassing people with your loud mouth. That's embarrassing. And there's one thing I don't like about living in the U.S. I ain't saying that all Americans are like this, but you got some Americans who will talk very loud about you to other people in a foreign country or here in the U.S., and they will embarrass you. They will create a scene. Have people looking at you, have people laughing at you because of that ignorant, loudmouth, annoying American. And I hate to say it, I just don't want to be around people like that. I want to be around Canadians, British people, French people, people from foreign countries who aren't narcissistic, who are friendly, sociable, down to earth, and respectful, People who won't create a scene and embarrass you. Those are the type of people I want to be around. But those people are just out of reach. You know, if if I want to be around these people, you just got this loudmouth American who gets in my way and just cuts me off from them and just embarrasses me. Like, for instance, okay, I'm paying for something with foreign currency in a foreign country, and that loudmouth American, which is a woman or a man, I'm going to say a woman, she'll see me flipping through my wallet for cash, money from that foreign country, and she'll keep saying this. It's like American money. It's like American money. It's like American money. And she looks at my wallet, and I yank my wallet away from her, try to find how much money I want to give to the cashier when I'm paying for something at the checkout counter. And the cashier just laughs at me. Because this woman that I'm with, this American woman who I'm with, is embarrassing me. I'm going to say this. And I know some patriotic Americans are going to jump all of my case on this. And they're going to tell me something like this. You can leave if you want. We're Americans. We are a nation of rebels, and we don't want to have anything to do with the British. And we have freedom, full freedom in this country. Yeah, I'm just going to say this, and I don't give a shit. If those colonists in the 13 British colonies or American colonies on the east coast of North America, if the colonists were defeated and crushed by the British in the American Revolutionary War, maybe America will be a civilized, decent country. It'd probably be like a mixture of Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia all rolled into one. Yeah, the capital wouldn't be Washington D.C. It will be Philadelphia. And a parliament will be established in Philadelphia. That's right, America will be a parliamentary democracy. Kind of like in Canada, New Zealand, and Australia, and the UK. Yeah, the Westminster system. Wouldn't have a president. The country wouldn't have a president. It will have a prime minister. The prime minister will live in Philadelphia, and he will attend question period or parliamentary session in the House of Commons in Parliament in Philadelphia. And you have the senators, they'll be in the Senate chamber. Yeah, King Charles III will be coming here to America to be in Parliament in Philadelphia. Yeah. Do a throne speech there, whatever. The changing of the guard ceremony will be held in Philadelphia. All of this. The country will have gun control, universal health care, a good, decent quality of life. Probably. So, I'm just an ignorant American. I'm just giving my thoughts on this. If these patriotic Americans don't like it, they can kiss the crack of my ass. Lick the shit around my anus. And they can go fuck themselves. And, I think that ignorant person, that loudmouth, ignorant person, I'm going that I'm around will never embarrass me. Will never ever create a scene by embarrassing me by running their mouths. Yeah, letting me talk for myself, letting me learn and grow. Because, as an adult, if you want something, you got to ask. And, there's a saying, I can't help you if you don't tell me what you want. That's right. I mean, if you want someone to help you, you got to tell them what you want. And you can't do that if you're with a loudmouth, ignorant American who run their mouths and yell and shout around you and quote unquote help you, and all they're doing is just embarrassing you, like helping you like count foreign currency, and you know how to do this. Okay, why in the world would you teach someone how to count foreign currency in a country that they're in and they know how to do that? It doesn't make any sense. But you can't say that to that loudmouth American. And they keep asking, you don't want them to help you. You don't say anything. They keep asking you this. Why you don't want me to help you? Why you don't want me to help you? If you tell them, they'll cut you dead in a sentence and keep running their mouths. Okay, first of all, you asked me a question. And do you want to hear my answer? You ask me a question, and okay, if I don't want to answer, you say, I just want you to answer my question. That's all. But if I answer your question, open my mouth, you will shut me up. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, if you don't want to hear what I gotta say, don't ask me. Idiot. And the worst thing about it is, you get old and you still arguing with that person, arguing with that person. And I don't want to argue with people. Arguing with people is just a waste of time. And people who start arguments, they just think they know everything. They think they're geniuses. And you call them out on something, they just immediately shut you up. Then you try to keep talking, try to overtalk them and get your point across. They keep talking. It just goes into an argument. Yeah. And another thing, since I'm on that subject, okay, women in America, you got some toxic, narcissistic, rude, picky, obnoxious women here in the US. And okay, it's hilarious. Okay, a woman can damn near beat you up and smack you around and yell at you and curse at you. But if you do that to her, you'll be punished. If you do that to her as a man, you're a man and you go and do that to her, you'll be punished. She'll call the police on you, have you arrested. She does all that to you, she gets away with it. That's not right. And I'm not for violence anyway. I don't believe in hitting women. I don't believe in hitting anybody, regardless if they're a man or a woman. I don't believe in causing harm to anybody, regardless if they're a man or a woman. Violence doesn't solve anything. Violence doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't. Well, yeah. You know, and and I hate it when some people in America They love to gaslight you. They love to do all that gaslighting. They love to gaslight you. They'll gaslight you. They'll gaslight you at the drop of a hat. They will gaslight you, and they will. Yeah, like for instance, okay, you tell them, oh, you keep me in the dark. You don't tell me what's going on. Like, oh, you don't tell me about who's coming to my house. My house. Who's coming over to my house and what time they're coming over here. Like something important happens, like, important like discussions that involves me. You just keep me out of it. You don't speak to me about it or anything. And that person will turn around and say this to you. Oh, nobody isn't gaslighting you. Nobody isn't keeping you in the dark. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's gaslighting or not, but I think that is. Yeah, like it's just, yeah, you got people out there who just love to gaslight other people, gaslight me and others. You know, and all of that gaslighting doesn't affect me anymore. Because I know it's bullshit, and I know it is. But I think these gaslighters, they just do what they do, just to excuse me. I'm just coughing. Excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. I think they just gaslight people just to fool them and fill their heads up with lies. You know, I think what they're doing is just plain wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong. And it is. But what I'm going through here in the US, all this toxicity, all this gaslighting, all the lies and propaganda, all of it, you know, what I'm going through here in the US, if I live in a foreign country, I probably wouldn't be going through all of this. And oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna bring up this universal health care. Okay, someone I'm not gonna say any names. I'm not gonna say any names of that person. I know this person, and this person knows me. I know them. I'm not gonna like say their name, and I'm not gonna tell you who they are. But I remember I was at a food bank with this person. This person is a woman, a black woman. Um, she's very crazy, hostile, weird, a hoarder, a liar, a weirdo. Okay, okay, I was forced to take her to a food bank called Pass or Path. And she told me the name of this place, but she didn't tell me where it was. And she never told me what this place was because I didn't know it was a food bank. When I took her there, I'm there with her. I didn't know what this place was. I said, "What is this place?" And she tells me, "It's a food bank. What do you think it is?" I said, "Well, I didn't know this place was a food bank. You didn't tell me." Then she gets all upset and throws a fit like I didn't like I supposed to know. And when I was taking her there, driving her there in my car, I mean, I just took her there after well, she asked me to take her there after I took her to this eye exam place. This place where she goes and get her eyes examined and get eyeglasses. Okay, she never tells me what this place is. She's confusing me. I'm in this city that has a lot of traffic on this road, this city street. And she almost got me into an accident by confusing me on where this place was. And it's all because that and the name of the place. She kept saying the name of the place. Path, 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 path. It was confusing. And this is the same person who booked this cruise that I went on with family. Okay, when I finally found a place and went inside, I didn't know what this place was. I was there. And I'm walking around. Okay, I'm walking around. Like, I'm trying to find where she was. And I find her. And she said, "There you are. Come and sit with us. Come and sit with me." Okay, she went. Okay, I went and sit with her. Okay, after that, before that, okay, she told me to sit with her. And after she found me and before she found me and before we sat next to each other in this place, she took a number and waited for a number to be called to get some food at this food bank. Yeah, she told me. Yeah. Also, she told me this place was a food bank, but she never told me where this place was and what this place was. Okay, I noticed the number system. Okay, you sit in a queue and you wait for your number to be called. Okay, and I saw this and I told her, this is similar to universal health care. Yeah, it's similar. This is similar to countries that have universal health care. This is how universal health care works. I mean, you go in. You say your name, your date of birth, and that's it. You take a number, you go wait in the waiting queue and wait for your number to be called. When your number is called, you go up and you get up and go see your doctor. And I told my sister about it, and my sister said this: "Oh, there's a back door to universal health care. There's a back door. There's a back door to that because they pay higher taxes. They pay higher taxes." And that's what she said. And she praises the Affordable Care Act and / the American healthcare system and these healthcare companies like Cigna, Humana, Kaiser Permanente, and UHC, United Healthcare, which I'm on. I'm on United Healthcare, UHC. And she's putting out universal health care. Well, okay, she wants to say that there's a back door to universal health care. There's a back door. There's a catch. And she tells me that I think universal health care is perfect. First off, universal health care isn't perfect. It has its problems, but it's a better healthcare system than the healthcare system here in the U.S. Universal healthcare is a civilized system. It's a normal healthcare system. It's completely normal. It's guaranteed to everybody, regardless of income and who they are. It's paid for through taxes. I mean, it's free to the point of service, and it comes out of your tax dollars. You go and see your doctor. You come out owing nothing. You have to worry about being on the phone with health insurance companies, arguing with health insurance companies, wasting your time arguing with health insurance companies. Yeah, wasting your time with health insurance companies, and you're going to lose You're gonna lose in that argument. None of that in a universal healthcare system. And there's benefits in a universal healthcare system. Let's say this, okay, okay, let's say you have a job, okay. If you if you quit your job and you go back to school, or you get fired from your job and you get another job, okay, let me start over again. Let's just say, okay, you have a job, you get fired from that job, you get another job, or you quit that job and you go back to school or go back to college. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, you will never lose your health insurance. Yeah, vice versa, like here in the US, if you do the same thing here in the US, I mean, your health care is going to be tied to your job. If you lose your job, you lose your health care. Your health care goes poof after you lose your job or you get fired. And also in a universal healthcare system, you have to worry about getting medical bills and getting bankrupt by them. Because medical bills are not a thing in countries that have a different form or version of universal health care. You know, countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, countries that have universal health care. They don't have to worry about medical bills, arguing with health insurance companies, premium co-pays and deductibles. Being denied care and being uninsured or underinsured, and they can't afford their medication. They don't have to worry about going through all of that shit because they live in a country that has universal health care. They don't have to worry about all that shit. And going back to that person, that black woman telling me that there's a backdoor catch to universal health care. Well, you want to talk about back doors. Well, the American healthcare system has back doors. Yeah, back doors for health insurance companies to come through and rip people off, rip anybody off. There's a lot of back doors in the American healthcare system because the American healthcare system is a broken, dysfunctional, bureaucratic, fragmented, pay-to-play, hole-in-the-wall, broken system. It's a ridiculous system. It's a cruel system, and it makes no sense whatsoever. You know, and I feel for Americans who go through the crap here in America when it comes to health care. You know, yeah. And they want to talk about freedom. Well, what I just said about the American healthcare system, there is no freedom. Okay, you have the freedom to go bankrupt over medical bills. You have the freedom to be denied care. You have the freedom to be uninsured and underinsured. That is not freedom at all. If you think that's freedom, then you must be on drugs. When Luigi Mangione killed the CEO, when Luigi Mangione killed the CEO of United Healthcare, which is Brian Thompson, a lot of people didn't show no sympathy for Brian Thompson because he's part of a healthcare company that denies people and let people die. And what Luigi Mangione did wasn't right. But he's viewed as the Robin Hood of America. And, I didn't hear anything about that murder trial that he's gonna go through. Yeah, but a lot of Americans who are fed up with the broken American healthcare system and these health insurance companies, these healthcare companies like United Healthcare and Kaiser Permanente. Yeah, they're fed up. And, when they heard about the death of the UHC CEO Brian Thompson, they were cheering. And that tells you that people in America are fed up with the healthcare system, how it's worked, how it works, how it functions, how it delivers care. Because let's face it, the United States spends more money on healthcare than any other country in the world. Spends more money, gets terrible outcomes. It's an embarrassment. The healthcare system here in America is a joke and an embarrassment. And it is. But going back to universal healthcare, I don't think universal healthcare is perfect. It has its problems, it has its issues, and it does. But at the end of the day, it's way better than what Americans are getting when it comes to healthcare. The lies that America tells people here in America. America likes to lie to its people. America likes to tell lies to people. They like America lies, or I won't say people, I won't say Americans who lie to other Americans with lies and propaganda that's directed towards other countries. Like for instance, they say that lies like the British look down on Americans, and universal health care is straight out of Hitler's playbook. Civilized countries in Europe are socialist nightmares, and they're very cruel to their people, and they say that about every country in the world, and somehow America is the only country in the world that has a lot of freedom, and other countries don't have any freedom, which is bullshit. Yeah, all the lies and propaganda coming out of the U.S. about other countries, it's all lies, and it is. But let me tell you something, like poor Asian countries that care about, where people care about each other and people look after each other, are way better here in America. In America, people don't look after other people. People don't care about other people. But poor Asian countries do that. Well, case in point, like I came face to face with people from China, and the Chinese people were friendly and respectful. I was on a plane flying home from Shanghai, China, I was sitting next to a Chinese woman who was old, and I was sitting next to her and her husband, and she was spitting in the bag and hawking up mucus and spitting in the bag because, I heard a lot of Chinese people on the plane, they were doing that. Well, everybody on the plane wasn't Chinese. You got some white people, some black people, and the others were Chinese. And I was so grossed out by this Chinese woman who I was sitting next to, who was an old lady. And okay, when food was served to everybody on the plane, I didn't want to eat any food, and the Chinese woman turned to me and said this to me: "Oh, what's wrong? You don't want to eat anything?" I just shook my head and said no. But she was friendly, and a lot of the Chinese people were friendly too. And I lost something on the plane, and some Chinese guy showed a pillow to me. Say, "Hey, this is yours?" I said, "Yeah, that's mine." Everybody got pillows and blankets because of this long flight. You put over you and put over your head, and you sleep on the flight. So I got a whip of how friendly the people in China was. China was, even though China is an authoritarian country. And and you don't get that here in the U.S. People, like, if you don't want to eat anything, or you sit next to a person, like, nobody's not gonna care. Like, you're down and out, you won't help. Nobody. Yeah, like, people don't care. People ain't gonna help you. But in China, like, I was helped out. Me and my family was helped out. My parents and my sister and myself, we were helped out by people at this airport. We were stranded there because we missed our cruise ship, and we were messing around with some taxi driver who had the language barrier, and he was using this language barrier just to lure us into his taxi, just to take us somewhere so he can rob us. But I didn't think that everybody was like that in China. My mom thought everybody was going to rob us in China, but that's not true. Yeah, that American propaganda right there. And it is, all the lies that people in the U.S. I live in I'm gonna say this. I live in America. I live in the United States, and I hear all these lies about other countries, how people are in other countries. They, people put down other countries and praise the U.S. through the roof. Yeah, and then you got Americans. They talk about Canada, and they talk about how friendly Canadians are. Canadians are friendly people. Oh, they're so nice. They're so nice. Then they go talk about Canadians. They live in igloos, and they travel around on dog sleds, and they eat maple syrup and all this crap. But I don't think. I don't think of Canada that way. I think of Canada as a country that has First Nations, Indigenous people, people of European background, English, French, German, Ukrainian, Indian, Asian, African, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, yeah. Yeah, and also Canadians, they drive cars. They drive cars on roads. They live in apartments. They live in houses. And that's reality right there. Yeah, they have a housing crisis. It's very expensive to live in Canada. I think in Canada is very similar to California if you look at it. And about Canadians, all Canadians being friendly. Um, I don't think all Canadians are friendly. I'm gonna say this. Well, let me start over again on this. Not all Canadians are friendly. Some are friendly, some aren't. And that's the truth right there. You got Canadians who are weirdos. And yeah, and they're not all quiet. They're loud. They like they're loud. They like the party. Like to have a good time. And I see this on YouTube. And that's a fact right there. I don't know that much about Canada. I've been to the country, and also I've been watching stuff from Canada on YouTube. Yeah, stuff from CTV, CBC, Global News, Canadian radio stations, on TuneIn Radio. So I got a whip of what goes on in that country. So, therefore, I'm not ignorant of the country at all. And my mother and my father, they think I'm obsessed with Canada. I have a thing for Canada. I love Canada. It's because, I bought a bright red Canada hoodie with Canada printed on it and some Canadian flags. I just bought that stuff as souvenirs, but that doesn't mean I like the country. I'm obsessed with it. And my dad embarrassed me on this cruise from 2023, this Mediterranean cruise that sailed from that cruise ship, which is a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, which is a Caribbean or Caribbean ship that sailed from Italy to Greece, Cyprus, and Turkey, and it's supposed to sail to Israel, but due to that war between Israel and Hamas, we just kept going back and forth between Greece and Turkey, and Greece and Turkey and Cyprus, and back to Italy. Yeah, this was back in 2023. It wasn't I'm not gonna say it was a good cruise, but it was a mixed bag, and it was. There's some things I like about it. There's some things I didn't like about it. But it was a mixed bag. It wasn't the greatest cruise in the world, but it was a mixed bag. And I missed out on some things like planes flying over the ship and a part of Greece that I didn't film because a family member didn't tell me a thing. Thrown in the dark. Ridiculous. Okay, I'm back to my father embarrassing me about telling someone that I have a thing for Canada. Okay, I was on this elevator with my father, and we were gonna go to Naples, Italy, and the ship was docked in Naples, Italy. This was on the 2023 Mediterranean cruise, which have two parts of it on this channel, which you can go and check out, which you can go and check it out for yourself. Yeah, you got part 1 and part 2. You can go check it out on this channel. Well, anyway, okay, while I was on this elevator with my father, okay, I was wearing a bright red hoodie with Canada on it, and we were on it, and me and my dad, we were in this elevator with these two women. Okay, one of the women said this to me: "Oh, you're from Canada. What part of Canada are you from?" And when I was going to tell the woman that I wasn't from Canada, my dad budged in and talked very loud to this woman, told this woman that when I was a little boy, I had a thing for Canada. I had a thing for Canada. When I was a little boy, I have a thing for Canada. Okay. After the elevator stopped to let this woman out, this woman who was from Canada, who thought I was from Canada, she got out of the elevator, she turned to me and looked at me and turned and laughed and walked off. And my dad said this to me like an idiot. Yeah, I was just helping you out. I was just telling her that when you were a little boy, you had a thing for Canada. And I didn't, and I just couldn't say anything. But yeah, if I opened my mouth and buzzed in, I was going to get into an argument with my father. My father is a very argumentative man. And him and my sister were like this. Him and my sister will embarrass me in front of everybody, regardless if they're from the U.S. or from other countries, because they got big mouths and they're ignorant. And I don't like being around people like that. And I don't. I want to go abroad with someone who isn't like my mom, who isn't like my dad or my sister. Excuse me. I want to go abroad with people who aren't like my dad or my sister, or go abroad with my sister or my father. So yeah, I hate to say, going abroad with loudmouth, ignorant Americans sucks, and it does. Okay, I think that's all I gotta say in this video. More videos are coming. After I get done making this video, I won't be able to post this video because the Wi-Fi is down at my house. So when the Wi-Fi gets back on, I can post this video on my channel. So about time I post this video on this channel, the Wi-Fi in my house is back on. And it's November and the temperature has dropped and it's freezing cold. I mean, it's the first day of cold weather. The hot, humid dog days of summer is long gone. Knee deep in autumn. It's November, I'm looking forward, to enjoying November and Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back in this boring ass state, Texas, which is here in the US. And while I was in Detroit, Michigan, at that airport, things were kind of lively there. Things were alive. Everything moved at a faster pace. The people weren't screwed up and effed up like people in Texas are. But there were some assholes here and there. Went through a TSA border checkpoint there at this hotel there. After leaving the hotel, there was this TSA agent, which was a black woman, and she was very, very strict on my mom. And my sister told me, hey, my mother is very old and she has arthritis. This TSA agent didn't care. She just continued to be very, very strict on my mom. And she did the same thing to me, which I didn't care. It didn't bother me at all. I didn't say anything. I just did what she told me to do. And she was very, very strict on me. Yeah, stand your feet on the feet stickers on the floor. And when I went through that airport in Shanghai, China, the people there were incredibly strict. It was very anal, very strict there. And I couldn't barely hear what these people were saying. And I didn't want to say, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, because if I say that, I might piss these people off and I might get in trouble with them, and I might get arrested by the police. And, my sister is very ignorant. She talks very loud, and she talked about, ooh, I want to be loud. I want to be loud. I want to get the N word out of me. I want to get the N word out of me. And I want to just yell at these people. And yeah, if she do that, these people will smack her down at this airport, because she's in an authoritarian country, which is China. My sister didn't care. She cared about their language and what they said in their language, one word that she knew, and that's about it. She was just loud and ignorant and loudmouth. And she would embarrass me and create a scene with me. So, yeah. C'est la vie. 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 Okay, that's all I gotta say in this video. Cheers. Au revoir. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.